And, that's where we are now.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, I know Saagar Enjeti is a close viewer of this program, and particularly Emma Vigeland. Take a peek at the last few minutes of analysis, buddy.
I think Graham Plattner is just your standard issue Brooklyn leftist. I used to think he was a hicklib, but here's the truth. This guy is listening to Majority Report. There's not a single real policy position out of step, let's say, with the Emma Vigeland podcast. So yeah, it makes sense that, and look, I don't want to zero in on her, but she really annoys me.
Oh, they're good friends, I thought. Him and JD Vance, apparently. Yeah. So, I mean...
And he supported this stuff.
JD Vance has friends?
Sometimes people play things up.
I just think, if he's going to
be friends with him.
If Saagar's going to go at Emma about this Plattner thing, okay, we're going to notice each other now? Let's notice each other.
I would need to, I guess...
I want to see a little bit more of a about face from the people who supported this fucking fascist Gestapo shit before they start talking about manners and Graham Plattner, personally. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I do think Crystal's got that down.
I know, Crystal's definitely got it. I just can't believe, now we're so fixated on Emma Vigeland that we can't even talk about the actual issue of Graham Plattner.
Well, but that's because it's a threat.
Well, I missed something completely. I've been just like, where's this smoke coming from?
Everyone's obsessed with Emma defending Graham Plattner, which was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think that, one, I've been a little out of the loop over the past 72 hours because I moved, and I'm still in Brooklyn, and we just moved from a 1 to a 2 bed, so I'm not
moving up
in the world,
fancy.
Jefferson style.
But I think it was because they rely on a certain caricature of a liberal to justify their aesthetic populism. But when the aesthetic of what they want matches with the politics of a Brooklyn leftist / like myself, that is scary to kind of a very paper-thin portrayal of right-wing populism. And I think it's...
And that is so true. Before we let Emma continue, it's exactly what I was saying on air about Graham Plattner. I'm like, you can call him a Brooklyn leftist, but let's see how he does in Maine. I think he's going to do pretty well. I think those quote-unquote Brooklyn leftist ideas are going to resonate with the people of fucking Maine, and not just like the cities or whatever, but all of Maine. Obviously, who knows yet? We can't see the future, but I predict that Graham Plattner does really well in this primary, and in the general, if he wins the primary. We've already seen some polls that have him doing really well. He attracted a massive crowd in a tiny town in Maine. Over 700 people came out in a town of not even 2,000. So yeah, again, you can call him a Brooklyn leftist, but that's a point in favor of Brooklyn leftism because it seems to resonate a lot as long as you strip away that kind of coastal elitist vibe that, again, is not specific to Brooklyn. You could say San Francisco leftist or what. Who cares, right? Take the same idea, put it in the body, and give it the voice of a quote unquote normal working class feeling sounding American. Most people are going to say, yeah, that sounds damn good. That sounds like common fucking sense. So Emma's 100% right. And, obviously there would be a lot more Graham Plattners. A lot more Democrats would look and sound exactly like Graham Plattner does if it weren't for people like Chuck Schumer and the DCCC basically deciding who gets to run and who doesn't, right? I mean, how many examples have we seen of that, where there is a really strong populist candidate, grassroots enthusiasm, progressive populist policies, but they don't have the money to compete with Chuck Schumer and the DCCC or the DSCC, right? Like, that's a hurdle that a lot of candidates can't overcome, unfortunately. But, a lot more of them would look and sound like Graham Plattner instead of Janet Mills if it weren't for that barrier.
100%. And you know who knows that? Saagar Enjeti knows that. And that's why he's pissed off. That's why he's pissed off at Emma Vigeland, right? What upsets him about a person like Emma Vigeland, who is so good at reaching normie NPR kind of liberals, right? I would put Emma Vigeland as like the closest to like a Jennifer Welch overlapper that we have on like our corner on the left. She's able to reach more of the like normal Democrats. She can go on Pod Save America and be totally at home. She's not written off as like a, pro-terrorism, like radical blue-haired socialist. She can go on CNN. She has that reach with people, right? And she's earned a lot of trust with those people. And so when she comes out and she says, guys, we have to be done with this cancel culture mindset. We have to be done letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Listen to what Plattner is saying. Look at what he said in these Reddit posts. square that with what you've decided to let the media create a caricature of him to represent to you, right? And we have to be honest with ourselves. And I think Saagar is sounding the alarms because he sat across from Crystal for so long that he knows the only reason a guy like JD Vance has been able to succeed, a guy like Donald Trump has been able to succeed, Ron DeSantis, take your pick of any of his Republican cronies. The only reason any of them have been able to succeed is because they've run the Chuck Schumer playbook, because they've run the establishment liberal playbook, because they've tried to do diet Republican policy instead of robust socialist leaning progressive policy that delivers for the people. Saagar knows if you abandon the woke element and focus primarily, and when I say abandon, I mean not lean into it and not present like a woke skull finger wagger, but present as somebody who wants to fight and create more opportunity for people and create a more economically just system. That's going to be a winning message, and that's going to basically destroy the MAGA movement because he can't sell a cheap impersonation of that with hateful bigotry as a cherry on top when there's the real authentic thing across the street.
Let's keep going.
A very paper-thin portrayal of right-wing populism, and I think it's probably more threatening to him than ever because we're seeing that right-wing populism is completely fugazi. It's falling apart. Their number.
It's a joke. Especially the border freakout that he
Yeah.
subscribed to and pushed entirely.
Because like this is what this movement was supposed to represent, including a guy like Josh Hawley, as we talked about earlier in the show, who can never follow through on his like aesthetic about this because he is a part of the Republican Party, and the Republican Party represents capital and not workers, even if they try to, create that sort of branding. It's branding versus
Hilariously, Saagar, held up Josh Hawley for years. It's like this is the guy, this is the populist Republican. You never really hear much about Josh Hawley these days from Saagar. Hell, I even gave Josh Hawley credit the other day for coming out super strong against AI and ChatGPT and stuff. But yeah, you never hear Saagar talk about Josh Hawley anymore. But yeah, pretty solid commentary. Love to see them firing back at Saagar. I specifically agree with Matt Lech's, frustration at Saagar, who again sometimes says the right things now, sometimes is willing to criticize Donald Trump, but it's like, didn't you support all of this? Weren't you cheerleading all of this? What right do you have to now be so intellectual and look around and, criticize the MAGA movement when you were pushing for it and, making arguments in its favor not that long ago? You know what I'm saying? Even Glenn Greenwald had to come on to lecture Saagar a couple months into the Trump administration about how actually it is deeply un-American to just, not give people the fucking right to defend themselves in a court of law, to just deport them without actually making a case, right? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
Pretty good stuff. There might be a few more seconds. Let's just in case.
politics. That's it.
No one hates people more than the Republican Party does. 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just can't. Brandon mentioned the media element of people pushing this stuff, and that goes for other people who are criticizing Emma's Plattner take too, who might have been talking about Tren de Aragua last year, and maybe pivoted to supporting Palestine or something a little bit more
Ana Kasparian.
palatable.
Oh yeah. I actually did not catch that. When I watched this live, I was just like, oh shit, they're firing back at Saagar. I didn't even realize that Anna, caught some strays too. That's pretty interesting. Let's hear that one more time because that's a direct reference to Ana Kasparian, who obviously did push the Tren de Aragua fucking lie, total right-wing racist propaganda pushed by Ana Kasparian, who not only pushed that, but she also pushed the lie that Project 2025 is not actually Donald Trump's real plan. How silly you liberals to fall for this fearmonger. She literally helped install a dictator. Let's be honest about it. That's who Ana Kasparian is.
Yeah, Brandon mentioned the media element of people pushing this stuff, and that goes for other people who are criticizing Emma's Plattner take too, who might have been talking about Tren de Aragua last year, and maybe pivoted to supporting Palestine or something a little bit more palatable.
I love when Matt White Knights for me because I'm a little bit out of this one. I should need to reverse Google search to catch up on some of this stuff. But,
or just watch the Vanguard. We would have gotten all of that information. Obviously, I'm just kidding. I don't blame Emma. I also don't watch videos about myself. So I don't blame Emma for not being aware of every comment that's made about her, critical or otherwise. Like I said, if someone published a video trashing us, there's like a 9 out of 10 chance I wouldn't watch it. So yeah, don't blame Emma for not being aware of that. But I do love that Matt's being a great homie there, defending Emma against this bullshit slander, not only from Saagar Enjeti, but also from Ana Kasparian, both of which, should have agreed with Emma's innocuous, obviously correct take about Graham Plattner, but just couldn't because of their personal petty beef with Emma. It had nothing to do with the principle of what she was saying or the actual concept of defending Graham Plattner. It was all just like, what? I don't like the fact that Emma Vigeland is saying this, so now I have to find a reason to disagree with it.
Yeah, and not only that, when Graham Plattner did go on the Young Turks last night, Anna had been in studio all night, and then immediately after Anna signs off, Cenk then goes to interview Graham Plattner alone, which I just found to be like a pretty low move from Ana Kasparian, right? She got so heated about Graham Plattner. Well, guess what? When Gavin and I get heated about something, we want the opportunity to be able to engage with that person about it, right? If we actually have a problem, like we said it over and over again, Cenk never took us up on the offer, but we're like, bro, if you think we're such fools, if you think we're idiots and we don't have any legitimate criticisms of you, like, let's fucking go to the mats, bro. Let's debate. I'll square up with anybody on the TYT network and debate them about our criticisms of your show. I'll put my money where my mouth is. Gavin and I debated people that were just intellectual powerhouses in comparison to us. And we went in and we were like, this is what we have to fucking say, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Gavin's a good debater, and I would go along for the ride.
You're a good debater too.
But it's one of those things where you have to have the balls to be like, hey, I did call you out. Like, let's sit here, and square up with one another. Let's put it all in the middle. Let's engage with this and give me an opportunity to respond to it. Anna chickens out, puts her tail between her legs and scurries away. Lets Cenk have an honest conversation with Graham Plattner. And Cenk was the one that defended him. Cenk was the one that was like, I've been where you are. I have been attacked. I never, ever had the chance of success that you have. Of course, Cenk would never say that. He has too much hubris. I'm just like you, brother. They tried to do this to me too, brother. I remember when I was a shoo-in for the fucking Democratic primary nomination for a senator. No, Cenk got absolutely humiliated in an Orange County congressional race where he came in like almost dead last in the primary. Yeah,
it was like 5% of the vote,
if that. Yeah, he lost to Christy Smith, who then got curb stomped in the general election. So that shows you how much popularity he actually had. Anyways, he actually did a good job of being fair. But to me, if you're gonna do the whole like good guy, bad guy, the good cop, bad cop, I'm gonna have the anti-tattoo take, and then the, I don't care about the tattoo as much take. Like, you should at least show up and be like, hey man, this is why I was angry about your tattoo. This is why I feel like I can't trust you, and give him the floor to be like, I'm going to make my case to you.
Well, I mean, the thing is though, that Zach, she can't do that because the reason why she's pissed about the tattoo take is because it's just the take that Emma Vigeland had. And she can't say that, oh, I'm mad at you because you watched the Majority Report. Like, she's not going to say that to Graham. So of course she wasn't going to be there because she doesn't actually have a substantive argument. It's just personal petty garbage. We are about to give credit to Cenk Uygur in a second for some absolute whoop ass, an absolute can of whoop ass that he opened on Piers Morgan. So fully prepared to give him credit, but I did have to quickly play this real quick because it's so funny. This is a good interview with Graham Plattner, but right at the very end, Cenk tries to recruit Graham into Wolfpack or whatever his stupid populist plank shit is, and this made for a really gloriously awkward moment that I just loved right at the very end of, again, what was otherwise a pretty normal and good interview.
Oh, I think it's muted.
Oh, you said populist. I forgot whether we already talked to you about this or not. Did you see the populist plank that we have? Have you signed on to that? Do you know about that?
I've seen it. I've been so busy, I haven't had the time to reach out.
New phone, who dis?
He's been getting those emails too. Please join the populist plank. Join our other 2 fucking candidates on the Rebellion Pack, whatever the fuck. What are they calling it? The populist pack?
Populist plank.
The populist plank. But what's the thing what's the new pack that he actually launched? The one that Brianna, Rebel HQ or whatever.
Rebel HQ, but then it's Wolfpack is the one that he's leaning into now.
Yeah, I think it is Wolfpack. But wasn't it Rebellion Pack?
Rebellion Pack's the other one. That was Brianna Wu. Wolfpack is the one that he's redoing now. They both use the populist plank. They're separate grifts though, because one's related to a different consulting firm, and that's why they have to funnel the money through Brianna Wu. But
wasn't like Richard Ojeda? Wasn't he with the Rebellion Pack? I'm pretty sure that was the Rebellion Pack.
It's hard to. I think he was with the Rebellion Pack, but then they were gonna decentralize the revolution or whatever the hell he was saying. Like
crowdfund the revolution.
Crowdfund the revolution. It's crazy. When I tell you guys, they just give me harrowing flashbacks to my days working at a startup where everything was about interconnective linkativity and synergy.
Yeah, but either way, let's listen to that one more time because it's so fucking funny.
You said Populist. I forgot whether we already talked to you about this or not. Did you see the Populist plank that we have? Have you signed on to that? Do you know about that?
I honestly, I've seen it. I've been so busy, I haven't had the time to reach out. But I mean, I watched the show, so I am aware.
I am aware. Yeah, I'm not joining that shit, but I am aware of it.
Hey, it's been a few weeks since our blind date. You said you had a great time. I called you 14 times and left 8 messages, and I sent 19 texts, but it said your read receipts were on, but I don't know. I guess you probably, I get it. Life's a whirlwind. No, okay. Yeah, you'll call me when you get home and we'll work it out. Like,
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there.